Exciting travel updates as it relates to greater connectivity within the region as well as internationally. Hey, welcome back to this Trini Travel. I'm Keisha, Trini, currently living in Milan. If you're interested in all things travel, especially from a Caribbean perspective, then go ahead and subscribe. But for now, let's get into these travel updates. First major update, we now have greater options to travel to Europe thanks to a code share agreement between Caribbean Airlines and Air Caribe. It now allows tickets to be purchased directly from Trinidad to France. So what is a code sharing agreement? Basically, a code sharing agreement allows customers to purchase a ticket from one airline, but it would be for another flight. Let me try to explain it better. Previously, if we wanted to fly to France with Caribbean Airlines as well as Air Caribe, we would have to book our flight on Caribbean Airlines from Trinidad to Martinique or Trinidad to Guadeloupe. And then we'll also have to book another flight from Air Caribe to France. So you'll have to purchase a ticket both from Caribbean Airlines as well as Air Caribe. Now, with this code sharing agreement, you can purchase one ticket either from Caribbean Airlines or from Air Caribe and have that flight from Port of Spain to France or from France to Port of Spain. You will be taking two different flights, so you may have the same flight, but if you book it from Air Caribe, your flight number might be AC 709, and then you book the same, someone else may book the same flight but from Caribbean Airlines, but their flight number would be BW 908. But basically it's the same flight and they're just sharing codes for the same route. So now you purchase one ticket from Caribbean Airlines, your bags will be checked straight through, but yes, you'll still have to do the switch in Martinique or Guadeloupe. It just makes it a little easier and an additional route. Now the airport that it goes into, I think one of the main airports in Paris is CDG. I can't remember the full name, but this airport, it goes into Orly, ORLY, and I checked the distances, and one is located, let's say, to the north, one is located in the south, but it seems to be the same distance away from the center, Paris, France. So you probably will take the same amount of time from either airport. So I don't think that this airport is much of an inconvenience. This is exciting news. I also looked at the price of tickets and I think it's probably the same as any other route. With KLM, they are about, it fluctuates, but on a good day, it's between like 1,000 to 1,200. I looked at some dates for the flight from Port of Spain to the Orly airport in France, and it was about 1,200. So now we have another route to fly to Europe, to get to Europe without having to pass through the US and definitely not having to pass through the UK. Something I forgot to mention, those flights started on September the 2nd. I saw that the flights are available on the Air Caribe's website. It has not yet been updated on Caribbean Airlines. So I'm not sure if they will add it into their flight path or you'll always have to book with Air Caribe, but on their website you can book the flight Port of Spain to France. Next on the list, I previously mentioned in another update that Intercaribbean is finally going to be flying to Trinidad and Tobago. No, I don't think it's in place as yet, but it does seem to be that they are pushing forward with the agreement and the proposition to actually do it. I mentioned it before and I still find it so crazy that Intercaribbean flies to every other Caribbean island and Trinidad and Tobago is the only one that they don't fly to or from. So again, this will open up travel options, create more competition, and possibly we get better flight deals because of that. And also on the topic of price, I also saw that St. Lucia has reduced their airport travel tax by 50%. So usually when you purchase a ticket, you would see that there are taxes involved, but now it's about 50% cheaper. It's not a huge difference. It's not going to take $100 off your ticket, but it is a small change, and I guess showing the interest in opening tourism or making it more accessible for CARICOM travelers within the region. So that 50% will look like a previous tax of like $12.50 US. So now it will be about $6.25. So I guess that's a step in the right direction. Another update as it relates to flights again within the region, Liat is operational again. I was checking for updates, like looking for these sites to see if they had flights resumed, and it does seem that they have flights resumed. The website is now Fly Liat Air, so if you check Fly Liat Air, you could go ahead and you can book flights within the region. Now I think their fleet is pretty small, so there are limited flight options. It's not going to be the most convenient if it's just a short trip. And I also saw that currently their prices, well, I just checked for one random week from Trinidad to St. Lucia for about 4 days, and I selected the same dates both on Liat and Caribbean Airlines, and Caribbean Airlines was about 100 US cheaper. More expensive than it should be, but it was 100 US cheaper on Caribbean Airlines. My opinion is that they have resumed, but basically on a small scale, but they do have their sights set on operating outside of the region. And again, as I mentioned in my last travel update, the air services agreement that was signed between Port of Spain and Nigeria, because Airpeace owns a stake in Liat. I don't know if Liat might be the company to provide some of those flights. We'll see. Another update on the topic of flights, KLM is going to resume services in Barbados for the 2025 winter season. So basically from October to about April. I don't know if they'll extend it after that. April 2026, they will be operating flights from Barbados, and I think the routes will be Barbados, Guyana to Amsterdam. That will also be another option into entering Europe for some of our other Caribbean brothers and sisters. This last update is not necessarily for travel 100%, but because it's on the topic of tourism, I thought it interesting. So Hilton will be returning to Tobago under the Tapestry brand. So it's basically going to be a boutique hotel located in Roxborough, and their plan is to have it open by 2028. Now, just in looking it up, it looks like it will be pretty interesting, but what I found funny is that it was actually a townhouse development that they had planned. I think they called it Argyle Falls Townhouse Development, and it was abandoned like in 2022. So now I guess the developer was able to find a company to run it. So the developer will still be developing the property, and Hilton will be responsible for like reservations, bookings, upkeep, and those things like that. So we'll see how that goes. So they will have like villas as well as a hotel. So they're opening up the property for like purchase, foreign investors and stuff like that. And then they also have the hotel part of it. My opinion, I'm not a surveyor, but the plan for that development and the size of the space that the land has, I don't see how it's gonna work. I see it looking very clustered, a little too much going on. I think for a seafront property, I would want to have better views, windows, the style. It doesn't give the full vibe of what they're going for. And since that plan was from like 2022, I hope that they did some revisions and they just don't plan to just pick back up where they left off. But probably that's not going to happen. We'll see. If Hilton approved it, they must like it. So we want it to work. So we'll see how that goes. But those have basically been the travel updates, the things that I've seen recently that seem exciting, that opens or widens the opportunity for travel. So always love to see it. And if there's anything else you recently saw, comment down below. And safe travels until next time.